We got Gators Breakdown here. We know we're business.
Gators Breakdown, because there's never a dull moment in Gator Nation.
The Gators Breakdown podcast is ready to go. I am your host, David Waters. You can find me on social media at GatorDave_SEC. Coming at you, another Fall Camp Edition episode. We're going to turn the page to the defensive side of the football for this episode. Hear from executive head coach, defensive coordinator, inside linebacker coach Ron Roberts. He has a lot to say about this Gators defense, the direction it's headed. Billy Napier as well on Joey Slackman on this Gators defensive line. And hear from Jason Marshall about getting his confidence back with this Gators defense and his staff. So lots to get into as well. We'll hear from Freddie Wehbe from Florida Victorious on the big plans they have this fall. So plenty to get into with this episode of Gators Breakdown. So it won't take too much long. But remember, they're selling pretty good right now. So get your Beat Miami shirt at gatorsbreakdownmerch.com. Not much time. Make sure you get it in time for the game. gatorsbreakdownmerch.com. Other designs there as well. Make sure you get your Beat Miami shirt right there. Link is in the description or gatorsbreakdownmerch.com. And of course, keep the conversation going. Become a Gators Breakdown Plus member. Access to that Discord chat. Extra episodes. We'll have those chats coming up. Extra episodes during the fall. You get those ad-free episodes as well of Gators Breakdown. Football season rolling around. There'll be more ads in Gators Breakdown. So make sure if you want the ad-free version, you can join Gators Breakdown Plus. Link is in the description to join. All right, so let's get started right away with Ron Roberts talking about this Gator defense.
I think you were talking in the spring, I missed it, where you were saying we weren't where we needed to be, but we're moving on and learning from it. Mm-hmm. There were a lot of issues on defense. You can go down the list, but where did you kind of begin? Where was your focus just kind of get things turning the other way?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's first going to start with, the simplest things you go in is the fundamentals of the game, striking blocks, knowing which keys, your reads, how you're doing, the techniques and the fundamentals of the position. But a lot of it goes into also the kids understanding and taking it to the next level. Coach Napier does a great job of talking about a 4D Gator. Being a four-dimensional player, not just knowing your job, but knowing everybody's job in your room, and then expanding that onto understanding all 11. And then the next part is how's offense trying to attack us. And so a lot of that was going back to just making sure we fundamentally, technically, we were sound. I think our players are good enough. I think we've got great players, and I think as long as they know where they're supposed to be and what their assignments are, they can go out and execute at a high level.
What was the common thread, do you think, when you look back? And there was a lot of youth, and things like that.
A lot of that's going to go into. You could say there's youth. Yeah, there was a lot of youth. There was a lot of inexperienced guys trying to hit the fields their first time in SEC football. And then you go back to the fundamentals actually of that is that it needs to be worked. Tackling was not very, wasn't done at a high level. But some of that goes into a kid also. The more comfortable I am, the more relaxed I am, the more confident I am in my ability to do my job. They tackle also at a higher level.
The games in the weight room with Coach Miles and others, where is that going to play into?
Well, it's tremendous jobs. Just across the board, our players they're all bigger, faster, stronger, more flexible, more balanced. Hopefully we're going to see is a reduction in injuries as well. That's a side part of it. You don't see bigger, faster, stronger is a big goal, but the big goal is to keep all these guys on the field. When you got to go down to the 2 or the 3, again, it's not the same level guy on the field. So again, we're trying to push it from the bottom up and get everybody on board to make sure they can contribute in some way, fashion. But you got to keep your key playmakers. You got to keep them healthy. And you got to keep them on the field.
What are you looking for a physicality standpoint from this fall camp and kind of setting that tone going into the opener?
Yeah, usually, we'll evaluate that on a daily basis. Obviously, grade it, work it. When we play in the games, I'm usually looking for something in the single digits. You're talking about missed tackles. If you were playing a game, if I was playing 80 snaps, we don't want that to be 10 or less. So the biggest thing is also that I think that helps that a lot is guys knowing where their help is. And so I can overplay a guy. How can you do that? Do you understand properly how to leverage a ball carrier? So I think a lot of those things, just how you drill it and how you work it, you can eliminate a lot of the one-on-one situations.
All right. Pro Football Focus put the Gators at missing the 116 tackles last season. and the highest rate of missed tackles in the SEC with 24.73%. Florida had 17 missed tackles in the Kentucky game alone, and then 15 against Arkansas. Of course, both losses. Kentucky a blowout loss on the road, and then that pitiful second half defensive performance, overtime performance there against Arkansas. Those two games just really, really, and the LSU game as well, really just shined the issues the Gators had on tackling an offensive player. So many of those missed tackles on the back end that turned routine or modest gains into more explosive plays. All the explosive plays wasn't just 40, 50-yard shots down the field in the passing game. It was explosive plays happening on the opposing offense, just running the ball and breaking tackles. Corners, safeties, just missing tackles, giving up big plays. So Jordan Castell, Bryce Thornton, they were true freshmen last season. Castell, pretty good tackler in his own right. He fell off toward the end of the year, but all in all, a tremendous effort by the true freshman all season long. Then you eventually saw their tackling get worse as the season went on, but I don't think that was any more than an indication of just some of that was not much help in front of them, and then also just freshmen taking their lumps as the season progressed. Body's not used to that kind of stretch there as true freshmen. So strength and conditioning, of course, can play a role as well, but that's where Roberts said it. For strength and conditioning, defense was fighting through a good bit of injuries last season as well. By the end of the season, Florida had no choice but to rely on younger players and players who were limited with minor injuries, playing a whole lot of football toward the end of the season. The team certainly needs to hold up better this season with another tough late season stretch, and also the one-on-one situations. This team looked weak last year, so strength and conditioning certainly going to play more of a factor. How many times did we see a Jalen Kimber bounce off of a player, a Miguel Mitchell bounce off of a player? Those guys no longer here, so that's an advantage. But the guys still on this roster have to get better too. Today's offenses, of course, are going to put you in a lot of those one-on-one situations, and you have to make a tackle. You try and limit those where you can, but those situations are still going to happen in today's football. The players need to be bigger, they need to be faster and stronger in one-on-one situations. Look, I didn't last year. I didn't want to rely on it too much as we were going through the season. I don't want to make excuses for youth and injuries. Those certainly weren't the only issues, but I do think many of the issues stem mainly from the youth. So many starters, so many contributors won't be making their first plays in a Gator uniform this year. Castell, Thornton, Denson, Collins, Searcy, Jaden Robinson, they were players who played a good bit of snaps last year. Some more than others, but now they won't be swimming as much. Can play confident. We'll get into that in just a second with Jason Marshall, but now he's an experienced player who lost some confidence. These are young players now who I think got a lot of snaps last year and now can play confident based off of that experience. I do agree that should make the basics better, the fundamentals better that Ron Roberts is talking about. The communication, that's going to be better with experience. Tackling should be better with experience. And some new voices coming in as a Ron Roberts, a Gerald Chapman, a Harris on the back end. And also playing together. All these young faces playing together. These transfers coming in can help you communicate, can share their experiences. That should go a long way. Knowing what your teammates are doing, where they're going to be, that comes with experience. And it's there now. So I think, just a natural progression of just that should make this defense better. And then the emphasis of tackling, strength and conditioning, all those things combined, we really should see a better defense. Let's go to more of what Ron Roberts had to say. That's my limit of what I'm supposed to be sharing. There, Florida puts a limit on that, rightfully so. They can share it on their own channels. But we can talk about everything else that was asked and Ron Roberts replied to. And he was asked, what do you like about the depth at the linebacker position? And he says they got a bunch of depth there, a lot of competition there through fall camp. He says they feel comfortable about 6 or 8 deep. Guys that are all big, fast, they can run, and physical is what he said. Going to be an opportunity to bring out the best in them in this competition. And he's right. He says 6 or 8, and I had to go through it when I was thinking about that, and he's right. Shamar James, Pup Howard, the true freshman in Childs and Graham, Derek Wingo, you move in Moten, Jaden Robinson gives you 7, and then Spurlock we haven't heard a whole lot about, but there's your 8, but 7 have played, or we expect to play, pretty pivotal roles in this season. So yeah, that 6 to 8 number, that doesn't mean there won't be drop-off in play. Certainly there will be. But certainly a lot more competition in that room of some true linebackers, or some linebackers we actually feel better about. And he went on to ask, to answer a question about who were some of the players that stood out. And he said, we got a room full of them. It's a really tight race. It probably starts with Shamar, whether it be Pup, Childs, Miles Graham, RJ Moten. He said he's done a tremendous job moving from safety down to linebacker in the spring. Obviously, Wingo brings a whole lot of leadership, Ron Roberts says. His knowledge and experience in the game has proven valuable for that group. So he really feels pretty good. I mean, look, and now he's coaching this. And, Jay Bateman did some good things. I thought he did wonderful with Amari Burney a couple years ago. And then as injuries happened last year, I do think the linebacker play fell off. I don't want to put too much there on Jay Bateman. Like I said, I thought he did some good things while he was here at Florida. But Ron Roberts, I think with a deeper cast of characters, a better cast of characters, that room should be better. And then he was asked about the star position. And I did get some questions there about the star position as we kind of go through that Q&A tweet that I put out, and did get some questions about Sharif Denson, Aaron Gates at that. And Ron Roberts was asked at the star position, do you feel comfortable as a staff with all the young guys there? Do you think that DJ and Bridges could potentially move to nickel at any point? He goes, Roberts says, yes, we've done that. They've both been working there. We got a couple. Asa Turner has worked down there as well. So I don't know if you missed Ron Roberts saying that last year, but DJ Douglas, he did have experience back at Tulane playing that star nickel role. Triquez Bridges did as well at Oregon. Asa Turner moved around some, but he's worked there a little bit, as he says, but he's going to be that safety next to Jordan Castell on the back end. But at least it gives you an opportunity, if you feel the need to put him there, that he can do it. Some cross-training going on in the back end. But from everything I can gather, it is a Sharif Denson, Aaron Gates battle. And I think that benefits Florida right now. He says Sharif is a really good player. Gates is a really good football player. We've had a couple other guys working in that position, probably for situational football and some things like that. So I've been told so far, look, we're about a week into fall camp, but it's one of the most intense battles right now with Denson holding down the spot right now. Staff loves what they have there in the young guys in Denson and Gates. And I think it's we talked about just raising the competition level. It's great when you can raise the competition level with 2 guys you recruited along with some transfers. That's going to bring out the best. And whoever's playing out there, you should feel pretty good about. There's a lot of competition pushing this spot to be better. Certainly, Jaden Hill, I thought, did some nice things last year, but play can certainly be elevated there. Is that a second-year player, Denson? Is it a second-year player, Gates? Or is it going to be transfers? Right now, certainly looks like Denson and Gates have the upper hand. I think DJ Douglas will be that guy in situational football with his experience. You may like him better in some critical situations, but also a guy you can move around. Another question for Ron Roberts was, hey, look, 22 sacks, only 3 interceptions last year. How does, from your standpoint, your defense has always been high in sacks, high in interceptions. How do you get this team to change from that? Is it a philosophy thing? Is it a change in scheme? What is it that has to happen? And he replied, it's a little combination. I think it starts with your ability. Can you rush the quarterback with 4 down and affect the quarterback? And in your conference, or in our conference, you're going to see there's 3 or 4 top quarterbacks in the country, and they're NFL caliber quarterbacks. So your ability to affect the quarterback, where it's just not sacking him, but it's hitting him, getting close to him, making him rush throws. It's making him throw before he's ready to throw. It's making him throw the ball in tight windows. So it's all together. It's not just, sometimes it's got to be the coverage being tight enough where they make him hold the ball until they can get there. So it's a combination of things. Some of it's schematics. some of its execution of fundamentals and techniques about how to rush a quarterback. I think we've got really good edge rushers. I think we've got talent in that room. I think we should be able to affect him with 4, but if we can't affect him with 4, we've got to bring somebody else. So, in taking a look at that, you got your edge rushers, TJ Searcy, George Gums. That's your top 2 guys there. That spearhead the pass rush. And, you know, as I've said before, when we were looking at the depth chart last week, that's still the biggest question for me. Princely Umanmielen out, who's going to take over for him and be a consistent pass rusher? And also at the same time, be a more consistent player overall. While Umanmielen did some good things as a pass rusher, we need a more consistent player at that spot to help contain up front. We'll also go into what Ron Roberts had to say. He talked about getting to the quarterback with just 4. You know, seriously, Gums, they're going to be part of that when they're on the field. But Roberts talked about, you know, that front 4 and not having to bring anybody else. Well, part of that 4 is also going to be transfer defensive lineman Joey Slackman when he's on the field. Billy Napier speaks highly of the Ivy League Defensive Player of the Year.
Jason Marshall gave us some good stuff about Joey Slackman the other day and being like a smelling salts kind of guy. Graham called him the most football guy on your team. What kind of intensity and energy does he bring in? Would you agree with that statement, him being the most football guy on your team?
Yeah, no, look, I'm a Joey Slackman guy, right? Look, I think Joey brings a maturity and an awareness. You know, I think he's extremely bright and he's motivated. He's driven. He's a self-starter and he's an alpha, right? And I think he does a great job. He brings other things besides being a 6'3", 315-pound athlete to the table. You know, I think this is his 6th year of college athletics. He told me yesterday, he said, this is the 4th year of football. I did 2 years of wrestling. But, yeah, he brings it. He's consistent. His motor's always running, and I think he has the ability to affect other people. That's one of the reasons we bought him here. And I think our players, one of the things we did in this cycle, if you go back to the beginning there, is throughout the portal process is we included our current team in those evaluations, and I think that worked. And I think that our players had conviction about adding him to the team, and ultimately he's doing a good job.
Do you have a good Joey Slackman story for us? Something that he's done in the locker room around the facility that stands out?
Well, let's put it this way. Last night, so I got a little training camp ritual. I get in the cold tub after practice, right? So I go in there. And Joey, you know, he did a cannonball into the cold plunge last night. So that's what we're dealing with.
How will Joey Slackman adjust? You know, I don't think we should scoff at him being great in the Ivy League, but we know this is a different level of football here in the SEC. And the out-of-conference games Florida has as well. And he may not be a starter for Florida at defensive end, but I think, you know, that is also due to, in large part, the staff liking the steps Caleb Banks has taken in his 2nd season here for the Gators, and the added depth of Kelby Collins. You know, I think this gives Florida a good 3 options here and the ability to rotate at will, I think, with minimal drop-off. I think that's what you're going to get here with these 3 guys. What is the ceiling of their play? I don't know yet. I think Caleb Banks will be better than what he was last year. He can certainly improve. But I do think there's going to be a level of play here. I don't know what the level will be, but I do think it's going to be all 3 guys are going to be at that same level. So if it's really, really good, I think all 3 guys are going to be there. I think we got to see how it plays out, but I don't think there's going to be much drop. I think Kelby Collins will get better as the season goes on. He may start off a hair under the other guys, but as I said in the previous episode, he's probably the most talented out of all these guys. So the more experience he gets, the better he's going to be. But going back to the previous point, this group must help the edge positions get pressure on the quarterback, create havoc for more turnovers. There's definitely more competition in this room, and all 3 players will benefit. Slackman provides that motor and intensity that we haven't seen up front for a while. Hopefully that's as contagious as Billy Napier says. I think just there has been a lackadaisical defense, and I do think part of that is confidence. I don't think there's been a lot of confidence in this defense. Now, you're not changing a whole lot as far as scheme and philosophy goes. Ron Roberts is going to lend his voice there. But there's been pretty much the same defense the last couple of years. Now, maybe this other voice brings that confidence. And that's where we'll go next. Jason Marshall, that's the main thing he talks about when discussing him coming back for another season at the University of Florida.
I think the vibe been great. With Coach Harris coming in, Coach Roberts, I know he's a linebacker coach, but obviously a new coach. I just feel like the energy and the vibe is there. Like, I feel like in the DB room, we could make a change, We only had like 3 turnovers last year or something like that. So I know that's like a big emphasis for Coach Harris, get the ball. If the ball in the air is ours. So I just feel like the vibe and energy is there.
Yeah, he was telling me missed tackles the other day being an issue in recent years, and he wants fewer than 10 if it's 80 snaps. How's he gone about emphasizing that? And I saw you guys doing some tackling drills in the brief time you were in there.
That's another thing that we emphasize, tackling. Coach Harris as well, he emphasizes that. He came in, with that mindset of we're going to tackle and we're going to take the ball away, and point blank, that's that.
Consistency in terms of personnel, coaches, or scheme around you. What are your expectations going into your final year? Maybe how would you even define your career so far, 3 years?
I would say my career was, it was good. This coming into this year, there's a lot of things that, I want to tweak and fix, things like that, technique-wise. Nothing too major, and just having that confidence back this year. That's pretty much the biggest thing, having that confidence back and going out there and playing hard.
Do you remember when you lost it?
I don't remember when I lost it, but, I did lose some confidence, and obviously you can see on the tape. But like I said, I'm just coming, to up my confidence.
Do you remember when you got it back?
I would say this spring.
Okay.
Yeah, this spring.
Just like reps?
Yeah, reps, consistency, just being more consistent. That's the biggest thing, being more consistent.
What do you think that means for you, expectation-wise, going into your last year?
Like you said, it betters my confidence. I go out there and play more free. So.
Did the FSU game help build your confidence?
It did a little bit. That was actually a good game. I had a good game.
You probably didn't expect to be here for this season. Do you kind of find yourself, though, as a senior, kind of taking things in last fall camp, last first game, things like playing against Miami too in the first game?
I forgot who I was talking to about that. I think it was Boone. I was talking to Boone, and we was like, this is our last fall camp, like college fall camp, and just go out there and give it all we got. That's the best thing we could do. So.
Last first day of school?
Yeah. With that too. Yeah, with that too.
I mean, look, the last couple of years, it's unfortunate, especially last year, since that's what Jason Marshall discussed here. It's unfortunate that this defense was in a spot where Jason Marshall lost his confidence, and certainly something you don't want to hear. I think one of the reasons a coaching change was made with Corey Redmond being let go are in examples like this. Now, Marshall certainly hasn't lived up to his reputation, but Corey Redmond didn't live up to his reputation, his once great reputation either. So you had players losing confidence. A player like Jason Marshall, shouldn't be losing confidence. This corner spot is definitely one spot you have to have it. Now, I believe Marshall when he says he has it back, but it is words until you line up in games and prove it's back, till you get punched in the mouth. Last year didn't start off too well. The first play against Utah, he was in coverage. Now somebody got in his way. RJ Moten got in his way and helped prevent him from making a play. But, if that starts happens again this year, need to be stronger mind. Believe in what you've learned in spring. Believe in what you've learned this fall camp. It will be time to prove it's back. It's still words right now. Last year was supposed to be the money year for him. The money year to prove he was ready for the NFL, but wasn't the season he expected to have. He did have a career-high 10 passes defended last season, but at the same time was getting torched, giving up about 24 yards a catch last year. And that was after improving as the season went on. It was worse than that at one point, but he did rebound. And I do know after last season, he had some big programs trying to get him to enter the portal. I do think there is more for Jason Marshall. I do think he's a better player than what he has shown. But he wants to be a Gator and see this through. So credit to him, as because believe me, guys, there were some big programs coming after Jason Marshall to the transfer portal last year. He says he has his confidence back after spring and believes in what Coach Harris is teaching him to do. He believes in the guys he has around him and says having the experience of Asa Turner, Jordan Castell behind him at safety should allow him to play more free. Doesn't have to try and be so perfect because he has guys behind him that he has confidence in to help make a play or help save a play. So there we go. Of what we hear from Ron Roberts, Billy Napier, Jason Marshall about this defense. But let's go back to some questions that I've received, through this fall camp. Going back to our question and answer series here. And this one comes from Kevin Reed on Twitter. What are the changes the new defensive staff are implementing to get the defense to play faster, tackle better, and reduce giving up big plays? And I look at this, not much anything philosophically is, to me, going to change. Armstrong runs the same defense as Roberts. This is who he learned from. It's his mentor. The change is going to be the experience paying off, and the biggest will be the emphasis on tackling, creating turnovers. I think the play faster part is all about the confidence in the coaches, confidence in the system, confidence in yourself, confidence in your teammates, and we just hit on all that. Experience and confidence will be the main reasons the big plays get reduced. Maybe Roberts chimes in if he sees the offense doing something to take advantage if Armstrong doesn't see it. But I think his presence will be more in the preparation during the week. The focus on tackling is the confidence thing, and the better they feel about where they're at coming out of camp, I think the better where the big plays won't come from poor tackling. Many plays come from poor tackling last year. There's the confidence that needs to be there as well. So the change won't be philosophical as much as I think it'll be comfortability. Just being more comfortable will lead to more confidence in every aspect that we've discussed here. I don't think it's going to be this massive change because Ron Roberts coming in. I just think, as he has said, it's really, really about the fundamentals. All right, so that'll do it here for this defensive portion of the episode. And now, let's get more information on Florida Victorious. Joining me right now on Gators Breakdown, Director of Corporate Revenue for Florida Victorious, Freddie Wehbe. A lot of good things being done in the Gainesville community, surrounding communities, and one more is happening right now. Only a few days left, but Freddie, you've got to let us know. Florida Victorious, Chomp Out Hunger at Celebration Point, a big event happening in the next few days. Give us the lowdown on what's happening and how just a good Florida Victorious is doing in the community for this.
Absolutely. Thank you, David, for having me on your show. Florida Victorious has teamed up with Front Door Produce. They own a bunch of farms in 3 different states. And basically, they're going to box up a bunch of fresh produce from their farms, truck them down to Gainesville, and then give them out to Gator fans that will help this cause. Florida Victorious is working on Chomp Out Hunger at Celebration Point on August 15th. And through August 10th, which is this Saturday, you can purchase the box online, either on their website or on floridavictorious.com. It costs $30 for the box, and you get between 16 and 20 pounds of fresh produce. $30 for that many poundage of produce is a very good deal. If you've been to Publix or your favorite supermarket, you know what I mean. And you can either come and pick up the box at Celebration Point on August 15th. We'll have a truck there all afternoon. Or you can donate it to the food bank, and the food bank will give it to the needy families. Most of the purchases so far have gone that way. People are donating to Bread of the Mighty Food Bank and feeding Northeast Florida in the Jacksonville area. And these boxes will be given to families that need the produce. So if you're a Gator fan, you listen to this show across the state, which I know many of you listen to Dave's podcasts and in droves and thousands. I see the numbers every day. Please help the Gators, help the student athletes. Let's raise some money. Florida Victorious makes $10 for every box sold. Our goal is to sell 5,000 produce boxes, and hence we make $50,000 towards the Florida Victorious and help University of Florida student athlete.
Yeah, so let's get this big push to August 10th. You got a few days, Gator fans, to really get this going. And Freddie, another highlight of this is, as you said, August 15th is going to be the day fans can come pick this up, and if they're in the Gainesville area, and maybe even get a chance to meet some football players.
Absolutely. We are having the football team bus into the facility around 6:30 in the evening. They will carry the box and put it in your vehicle. It'll be like a drive-through system. You pull in, you put the box in your vehicle, and the athletes will be there supporting and helping us with that and doing their part in helping this amazing cause.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you're watching the YouTube version, guys, you can see it. You can scan that QR code that's right there. You can go to Florida Victorious for more information. I will have the link in the description as well. If you follow me on Twitter, like I know many of you do, I've retweeted all the information you got to do there. But let's really help out these communities, Gainesville, Jacksonville areas, and the good things that Florida Victorious does. And Freddie, this is just one more example of what we see, the good in the community Florida Victorious does.
Absolutely. That's, cause marketing is our top priority at Florida Victorious. That's what we do with the student athletes, whether it's cooking at the Ronald McDonald House or building homes with Habitat for Humanity or going to the schools and helping the kids and teaching them leadership, or going to the YMCA. We partner with almost 15 different nonprofits in this community, and we're going to continue doing that and doing our part in making the community a better place and using the University of Florida student athlete as a good resemblance of what serving the community means. It's amazing to see the satisfaction on these athletes and these Gator athletes when they do these things and helping other folks improve and making our community a better place. And this is yet another example of cause marketing and helping the community that we're in.
Absolutely. Lots to look forward to in the community, but heck, football season's around the corner. A lot to look forward to this fall as well. Freddie, I got to see you on Billy Napier's spring speaking tour when he was here in the Jacksonville area there in Ponte Vedra. It was good to see you in person right there. And we're really gearing up for an exciting football season. We are, and it's good to see you as well. We went to all 6 caravans that Coach Napier did, and then we're about to start next week. We start the basketball caravan. Coach Gold. Nice. Yep, we'll be in Tallahassee and Gainesville and in Sarasota. There's 3 different days. We'll be there as Florida Victorious supporting them. We're all in this together. We want the Gators to win as much as the coaches do, as much as the athletes do, as much as the fans do. Our job is to raise money and provide it to the student athletes so we can recruit and retention more and win more. We all want to win in every sport, every single sport. If you're a Gator fan, you want to win, right? And you can do so by supporting Florida Victorious. We're doing our part as Florida Victorious. We attended every caravan, and good to see you there as well. Yeah, so Gator fans, by now, if you join Florida Victorious, you can use promo code GatorsBD, 20% off your first month there, and it really goes to a lot of exciting things. And Freddie, let's continue that conversation. Football season around the corner. A lot of events, a lot of happenings in Florida Victorious there as well. Coming up this fall, you got the Miami kickoff game, the first game of the season, and then that Friday night, the night before the game, you got the Celebration Point, kind of the chomp the block at Celebration Point. The Friday night before the Miami game, a huge tailgate the night before. What's going on there that night before that big, huge rivalry game? We know a lot of people is going to be coming into Gainesville. It's a 3:30 game, so a lot of people will be there Friday night, to partake in the happenings around Gainesville. This is just one more that's going to be happening through Florida Victorious. Absolutely. The night before the game on Friday, Chomp the Block happens at Celebration Point. Starts at 6 o'clock, goes all the way to wee hours of the morning, I believe midnight. There'll be tailgate. We're having our large tailgate for Florida Victorious there, along with Chomp the Block. Albert and Alberta will be there. Some players will be there as well. And you can come down and enjoy a great tailgate atmosphere before the game. And then during the game, and the game day, we also have our own tailgate. We've quadrupled our tailgate space this year for all our members.
If you're a member of Florida Victorious, you come join us, enjoy some food, some drinks, enjoy the camaraderie, and with other Gators as well. We have a 40 by 40 tent right in the north end zone. We'll have it for every single game. We had a good presence last year, but we were so busy and packed that we've doubled and quadrupled the space. It's going to be fun during the game days. We also have now co-joined the 50-50 raffle that happens during the game. So if you're participating on the 50-50 raffle, the proceeds now benefit Florida Victorious. So if you go watch a Gator game, make sure you participate. And even if you don't go to the games, you can participate as well and win this raffle and help Florida Victorious raise more money for the student athlete.
Freddie, I love that. As soon as I saw the 50-50, they did it the first time, I think, a few years ago. And I was like, oh, man, there's got to be a way for the NIL side of this to get involved. And I'm glad Florida Victorious is pairing up because I think it's a perfect pairing for the 50-50 raffle. Hey, look, you might be the fan lucky enough to win and get some money in your pocket, and the other half goes to Florida Victorious. Love the thought there. But, yeah, Freddie, absolutely. Usually, I stroll into the swamp about, hour and a half before kickoff. Always make sure I stop by the Florida Victorious tent. And I'm so glad, to hear that. Now, first of all, we're big enough to expand, to need the room of, quadrupling the size of the tent. But, we get student athletes from other sports, Florida Victorious members also joining in. It's a great time, to really, interact with a whole lot of Gator Nation in that tailgate tent right before the games.
Absolutely. And again, we're up to over 3,000 members now. It's easy to be a member. You can be a member as low as $15 a month. All the proceeds go to the student athlete. If you want to join or learn more about our memberships, visit floridavictorious.com. We have 4 different levels of membership, 15, 25, 96 Club, which is amazing. You get a special party with Coach Spurrier at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill in November. And then we also have the $250 membership. For $15 a month, you help your Gators win. You become a member. The tailgates are open to all members. And when you're up to 3,000 plus members, you definitely need more space. And hopefully next year we'll even have more space for that because our goal is to have over 5,000 members.
Freddie, look, he was reading my mind, man. I was saying, I wanted a status update, where we're at, and the goals for Florida Victorious. Where would you say there's a lot of talk about, where Florida NIL is a comparison to other, universities and schools and other collectives out there. How would you assess, where Florida Victorious is right now?
Florida Victorious is doing very well. Are we number one? We could be. No one knows the real numbers, but I can tell you we're definitely in the top 10, raising millions of dollars for the University of Florida student athlete. That's what we do. We have a solid team that works very hard. We branded ourselves in the last 6 months a lot better. People know what we do now, where we are, and we're for Gator Nation, and Gator Nation is everywhere. But we're doing very, very well, but we need to do more. To win, you have to do more. And at the end of the day, success is measured by winning. So when we start winning, even good things will happen. And we're going to continue working hard. Not only do we work hard, but we work smart. We do everything right. We follow the rules. We work together with the UAA along with them as a third party and follow their compliance. Everything is done correctly. And you have never heard anything wrong with Florida Victorious. Everything we do is done right from the legal, from compliance, and those are prerequisites. At the end of the day, you're measured by money. And this thing that we're doing now, and the tailgate, and the produce fundraiser, and the membership, is all about raising money. There's 3 ways you can support Florida Victorious. 1, become a member. We're over 3,000 members. We need to get a lot more. And membership starts as low as $15 a month. Okay, that's 2 cups of coffee to help your Gators win. You can donate. We do have a lot of donors that give us, especially the boosters and what have you, and we'll take anything to support the Florida Gators. And lastly, we do have corporate sponsorships. And this is new and it's happening a lot. We've tied up with about 20 different companies, and we're looking to do more, shake hands, and work out deals where there's an ROI for that business. And obviously, you can take advantage of the taxes and what have you, and all that can be explained to you. But there's 3 ways of giving. Join us, guys. Please, Gator fans, support Florida Victorious so we can help our Gators win.
Absolutely. Director of Corporate Revenue for Florida Victorious, Freddie Wehbe, joining us right here on Gators Breakdown. One more time, a reminder, chomp out hunger, few more days left, really helping Florida Victorious, the community of Gainesville, Jacksonville as well. $30 a box, only a few days left. Hey, Freddie, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate the opportunity, and go Gators.
Go Gators. All right, there we go. Getting you caught up from Freddie Wehbe there on Florida Victorious and the defense going through fall camp right here as we are just counting down the days to that first game versus Miami. That'll do it for this episode of Gators Breakdown. I am your host, David Waters. You can find me on social media at GatorDave_SEC. Guys and girls out there, thank you for joining me on this episode of Gators Breakdown.